What's up?
What's up, y'all?
We're back in the car.
Yes.
It's been a little over 10 episodes, or under 10, maybe 10
It's
episodes.
It's over now. I think we are on episode 12.
Should be.
I believe so. Yeah.
Concurrent episodes is.
Taking it back to our roots, doing another car episode.
Yeah.
We are on our way to Midland, Texas right now, which is exactly what it sounds like, in the middle of Texas. Also in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're driving way out to the middle of nowhere. And it's going to be a good time. We're doing some Annex B shooting for promo, media, visuals, that kind of thing for all of Atlas's upcoming EPs and the album itself. So anyway, I think we kind of mentioned that briefly in the previous episode, but we are on our way there right now.
Yes, we
are. And we thought, what a great time to film a podcast, because we've got 3 more hours till we get there, and we're about 2 hours in at this point, so getting a little bit bored. And yeah. What are we talking about?
Doing a topic right now for the first time about children specifically and different generations and what that looks like. And so we'll just jump into what I believe very heavily, and this might be the most upper generation thing I can say, but I believe Generation Alpha is more screwed than other generations has ever been.
I can definitely agree. I think we kind of see that on the latter end of Gen Z too, which we are Gen Z for sure. What specifically is it about Gen Alpha that you're like,
Well, the main foundation of a society is social interaction. It's the only way it works. It's just like an ant colony, if you will. If you're not around, if you're an ant and you're not around the colony, you die. But we as in powers that be have made the technology and the foundation so that you do not have to leave your home, at least not nearly as much as you did 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 50 years ago, 100 years ago. Slowly going towards an isolationism kind of mindset and lifestyle. And I think when people, the devil's advocate, whenever they would hear, oh, like this next generation screwed, and they're like, well, like, that's what every generation said. I'm like, maybe. But I think this is a little different in my opinion. Like I said, I could be talking from a place of ignorance. I'm not trying to. But I think that I have noticed it. I know Liv has noticed this with the types of people that Generation A, Gen A is becoming to be as they grow older, start to graduate high school, start to go into college. They're very early on, and we're kind of mid to lower tier Gen Z. But yeah, it's not good. I'll describe one experience that I believe I have pretty consistently with her specifically, not about her, but with her. We go to this ice cream place called Georgie Boys. Shout out Georgie Boys. Big fan. But they are...
I think this is the 3rd episode we've mentioned Georgie Boys at this point.
Sponsor us. You just...
Please.
Just tell us we can be sponsored by you. Anyways. We go there pretty often. As often as I think one should go to an ice cream shop without being too big boned with it. We go there, and it's usually run by... I don't think I've actually seen anybody that's not Gen A that is there. I could be wrong. I might just see people that look much younger than they are. I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel old already saying everything right now, but there's this thing called, I don't know if it's called Gen Z face or Gen A face. I want to say it's Gen A face, Generation Alpha face, where there's just no emotion really being communicated, and you might sidetrack and be like, they're working in an ice cream shop. Why would they be happy? And I'm like, no. I mean, like, there's nothing being communicated.
Well, there's no customer service-ness to it. There's no, hey, how are you doing?
Yeah.
Good?
Yeah.
What can I get you? Oh, this one's my favorite. You know, like, there's none of that. It's just the standing there and waiting and looking at you.
Yeah. It's and yes, partly I get it. They're debatably children at this point in their lives, and it's kind of hard. But, like, here's the thing. I was once a high schooler. Not that far from being a high schooler, but I was once a high schooler, and I had friends that worked jobs like that, and they didn't act like that.
Yeah.
From what I saw, and I know it's different. I know there's probably different factors to it, but it's not the only place I've seen this. I'm only picking it as a specific example because it's an example that I can think of right now. But I have seen it everywhere. I've seen it with my cousin James. Love you, James. But I've seen it. I've seen it with different younger friends or just friends of friends. I've seen it with some of your siblings, just younger, but not nearly as much. But it's like, to me, it's palpable, and I just see a difference, like, and it's slight, but it gets into a liminal space where it's like uncanny, and it doesn't. As a human being, I get thrown off.
Well, it's also like, sometimes it's hard to differentiate personalities too.
Yeah.
When all of it is just meme heavy.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And it's like,
Oh my gosh, not the memes too.
I also get, there's always been something like this for years and years and years ago. Like back in the 90s, there were those stupid, wacky sayings, like I'm thinking Joey from Friends.
Sure.
You know, that kind of lingo where it's just kind of like, you know, a little bit cringy, but it was funny at the time, I guess. And there's always been that kind of thing. The YOLO, that kind of thing. And now we're in this phase where it's just 6, 7 all the time. And
yeah.
But there's just something about it that's like, this genuinely makes zero sense why it's funny.
Yeah. I felt that with like 21 with the 9+10 thing.
Mm-hmm.
I felt that with some
Well,
things.
at the very least, it was there was a video.
There was a very specific video. And a very
there was
specific
it was the way he said it and the reaction of the people around it, and it was funny in that context.
It's
it was
clearly
a funny
like
video.
This young child doesn't know math that much, and he's just doing his best. But it's funny because he doesn't know enough, and it's innocent. It's an innocent kind of humor.
Mm-hmm.
6, 7 to dissect that part comes from, I think, a basketball player. I've never seen a specific video. I've never seen anything that links that to a like I've not seen the genesis of said meme anywhere. I've not. Like I've looked on TikTok, and TikTok's really bad for trying to find the genesis of anything. But I tried to look on TikTok. I definitely looked on YouTube. Looked everywhere. I think it's like on a rap song too. I don't know. I don't care enough. And I'm just kind of sitting there like because we'll be at your grandma's dinner, and then like your siblings will come in, which are they are definitely younger.
My cousins.
Yeah, and your cousins too. And like the second those two numbers get brought up in any context, gone. And they might not say anything. They'll just do like the little stupid hand thing, and I'm just like at first it was annoying. It was kind of funny. Now I'm just like, please stop.
My thing is like, I have felt it in myself, the lack of wanting to be social in some scenarios. Like, for example, when I first started working at Merge, they told me I needed to start answering the phone. And that's not out of pocket thing to ask of me, and I've done that at jobs previously before, been somebody who answered the phone, but then I always had all of the answers because it was such a streamlined, like Olive Garden, and if I didn't, it was like, let me transfer you to a manager, or the bank, but with Merge, it was different because everybody who called had a very specific thing that they needed help with, and I felt so uneducated that it brought me a lot of anxiety answering the phone at first. I would rather you email me your question, me be able to gather the information, send you back a detailed, message. Now, my dad was like, hey, you got to get over that because you need to be able to talk to people, and I know you're Gen Z and you just want to do everything via email. But I can tell you the difference between my anxiety and Gen Alpha anxiety is the reason that I feel that way is because I don't feel I'm presenting myself well enough to the person on the other line. I don't have enough information to properly serve you correctly. And it would be more efficient to get you exactly what you need in all of the details and not have an itch of it being wrong.
Yeah.
For you to send me a message and me to go find the answer and get it back to you. Yeah. And that's an efficiency kind of thing.
Yeah.
Whereas with Gen Alpha, I've seen a lot, there is just this anxiety of, I don't want to talk to people, period.
Yeah, there's not
I just don't want to talk to people.
Well, they're, and I don't know Gen A, because I'm not Gen A, and I'd love to know what they would think about this. I'd love to get a group of them of different sectors of Gen A and be like, so what do you think? I believe we're talking about human nature and what technology has allowed certain parts of human nature that used to be not possible to flourish that are now flourishing, which I will iterate this. I've said this before, but not in this video, but I will say it now. I am on no level blaming the people that are in Gen A. I think people might hear this and they're like, so you just don't like people that are in Gen A? It's like, no, I think y'all have been given a bad hand, in my opinion. For instance, with social media, with texting specifically, with the ubiquitous nature of the internet and being able to talk to anybody without having to talk to them, you guys, Gen A, if I'm talking to Gen A, hello, you guys have opportunity to never have to leave your house because Amazon exists. You don't have to ever talk to a person ever, with an asterisk of depends on where you're at. But if you're in a good enough situation, you don't really have to. And you can just text people, you can email people. I'd be shocked if you guys were emailing, but you could email people, Snapchat people, Instagram, DM people, everything except call, or FaceTime, or talking in person. Talking in person's a very scary thing, innately, because you never know what you might say or do that could provoke the person or trigger them, if you want to use a more modern term, that overall you can't just log off and get out. You can't block them. You have to deal with them face to face. And that's a very scary thing. And if I know from my personal experience, if I can avoid that, I usually lean towards naturally to avoid that. I try to fight against that, and I think my upbringing has helped with that a lot from my parents and how they raised us, and so that we actually deal with people face forward with respect and actually give them the time of day, grace, all the things, fruits of the spirit, if you will. And I think from what I've seen, and I'd love to do more research on this, I'd love to have more statistics on this, but from just my personal experience, Gen A, from what I know that how they're being raised and how they've acted around me, or whenever I've seen them, or just looked at them through memes or videos or anything like that, it's not looking good. That's what I say on that.
I will also say, on the same hand, but flip side of it, because these kids grow up in this culture of surrounding yourself all of the media you take in is these celebrities, these social media people, if you will.
Influencers.
Yes, influencers, these confident people, or so false confident that they're putting out online. They adopt that kind of personality in real life.
Oh, yeah.
And there is this lack of respect and immediate confidence in saying things that are not okay sometimes.
Yeah.
You know, like I've seen, like maybe in like you see a video and somebody, there's something about this person that you don't like, you just comment it. And there are a bunch of people who will hop on it with you.
Yeah.
And if people don't like that you said that, you may get a couple of comments coming back at you, but you don't have to worry about it. It's, you know, you can literally delete them. Whereas in person, I feel like what I've seen sometimes is kids will just say whatever they think without having any sort of
Filter.
Yeah, any sort of filter. And it could be very disrespectful and harmful. I think there's a lack of respect for authority. And this, like, I can do what I want kind of mentality. Look,
Well, hello.
we're driving there. We were told that there would be wind turbines, and we're seeing a bunch of them right now. So we're driving past them. So
It's cool.
it's really cool to see.
Big old boys.
Yeah.
You're talking about, you're talking about a couple things, but specifically you're talking about idiosyncrasies. Idiosyncrasies, to my knowledge, you correct me if I'm wrong, are the little habits or little actions that we take, that we do in a society that either make or break you being accepted into said society. And I was listening to a sermon once, this pastor, who was talking about how if you isolate yourself enough, then your idiosyncrasies go out of whack. And if you reintegrate yourself into society, you'll have a learning curve as to how to act around people, which I can guarantee you that is correct.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. I think it's kind of like similar, not the same, but similar to learning a new language. It's like you can do everything you possibly can to learn all the words, learn all the phrases, grammar, things to say, things not to say, have the pictures to the words, do all the things. We have very little experience, but we have some experience of going to another country, the foreign language that we virtually know no words to. And the amount you learn within the society, you will learn infinitely more within that society than outside looking in. That's true with learning about people. That's true with learning about like industries and careers, professions, and that's very true with society and social interaction in general. And when you do not have that as a skill, if you do not have that time under your belt to figure out how to talk to people, how to communicate with people, you're very screwed in your communication. And I believe one of the best, most undervalued but truly valuable skills that I think nobody wants to talk about is communication in general. That's a very easy thing to say. And to one up that, I look at communication much more different, even though I definitely valued it before our marriage. And it sounds so like it's unfortunately a broken record. Like everybody repeats it, but it's true. It's like the thing that will make or break your relationship romantically is communication. But what I have found is that because I am upgrading my skills, if you will, through my marriage with Liv, I am I like to be the case, substantially better communicator to my other people in my life, because I'm being called out in the best ways to be like, hey, you're not communicating X, Y, and Z. I didn't know this, this, and this. And if I had known this, we either would be arguing or we just would be in a better place.
Right.
It can be like as small as like, well, it would have been really cool if you, I don't know, sweep the floor. Versus, you probably should have told me what you wanted to
do for your birthday.
Sure, to do with your birthday or whatever. It's like bigger things, small things. Same idea though of, are you communicating your heart effectively? Yeah, are you communicating your heart effectively? And more importantly, are you listening?
Right.
And what you're describing is interesting because instead of there's very much a performer mindset with a lot of Gen A's, because in the same way with TV and movies, I'm not saying this is necessarily specific to Gen A, but it's more debatably ubiquitous, debatably more universal. I believe it's just more widely spread as a mindset because of the echo chambers that you're also talking about, where it's like, well, you can just follow exactly who you want to follow and listen to exactly what you want to hear. Media-wise, it's so tailored to you that you think you are the majority, when in reality, you probably don't know that.
Yeah.
You could be. You totally could be. But to assume that of your mindset, I've seen it with the left, I've seen it with the right, politically, I've seen it with different cultures, different, call it music tastes, all the way up to who you are as a person. Like there's a whole niche of those who think they're autistic, but they're not, or those who think they have ADHD and they don't actually have it, or just like there's different niches of mental diseases that are so over. Like OCD is a big thing that people like.
I have OCD.
It's like, oh, I have OCD. I'm so sorry, and it's like, no, you don't. I know people with OCD.
Sorry, I have OCD.
Right? It's like virtually guarantee you don't. Sorry about that. You have way more control than you think. Anyways, but it's like, and not to dog on those who do struggle with that, I have such empathy and sympathy in both ways.
Which is why you have such heavy passion towards this subject, because it invalidates the people who actually do struggle with these type of things.
Well, it's a boy cried wolf kind of thing.
And
to
it's
a lot
also
of parents
like, I would like to say, if you are self-diagnosing yourself and you don't actually have said thing that you're diagnosing yourself with, you do have some sort of problem.
Oh, yeah. It's just probably not what you think.
Yes, it's just not what you think it is. Yeah, there's something mentally wrong with you. You are right.
Yeah.
Because,
and some people, oh my gosh. Sorry, finish your sentence. I have a thought.
No, continue.
Sorry. But the amount of people that I've seen blame people for being narcissists.
Yeah.
And they're not. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Out with it. Like, I get it. Narcissism has been whittled down to this definition of somebody's way too selfish and they're not thinking of me, or they're not thinking of my problems, which I'm like, kind of. And like, I am on no level a psychologist. I'm so far from a doctor. We can call my sister for that. I am not in that realm. I'd like to think though that I do have a little bit of knowledge in this, to the point where I can tell you that I don't know, and I can almost guarantee you don't know.
Yeah.
Whoever's saying that, it's a very blamey culture, and there's no ownership. And I'm not saying that's necessarily just Gen A. I think that's debatably a whole nother subject right there. But that's kind of what I'm talking about with that echo chamber. If you're surrounding yourself with the preferred voices that you want to hear versus voices that you might not agree with, that's a big thing that I recommend for people. That's something that my grandparents, specifically my grandfather, Mickey, he has instilled into me many times. He's like, listen to other worldviews and challenge your own, so that you're going in the direction that you believe. Like that's a big thing for him. And I know his worldview, and honestly, we have very similar worldviews for what it is. But it's very comforting and awesome to hear somebody of an older generation be like, go figure it out.
Yeah.
Like, put yourself in places that you might not agree with. You might not have the same worldview on.
Right.
I know for me, like, I went to UNT for my college degree in media arts. And funny enough, like, I'm more right-leaning for sure, and debatably liberal.
It's funny because you flip-flop all the time.
I do. It depends on the issue, honestly, for what it is.
I think me and Atlas are both very stagnant when it comes to political point of views, because there's just so many people who lean so harshly one direction or the other. Mm-hmm. It's like there's not a single thing that can encapsulate what all I feel.
No, I agree.
It's so spread, and I think most issues, the resolution is somewhere in between, and that's why we have the political conflicts that we have.
There's always gray, but you can't make an army on gray.
Yeah.
From what I've seen. But I lean more right on a lot of issues. Some left, some right. It depends. But UNT is a very liberal college. Call it left-leaning. Nothing inherently wrong with that. It is what it is. But definitely farther from my worldview than where I was living at before. Before I moved there to good old Denton, Texas. And I thought it was really awesome to get other people's perspective, humanize a side of life that I really wasn't a part of for my entire life until at that point. And it was really awesome to just get the different perspectives. I made a good amount of friends. I love those people, like virtually all of them. I think they're so great.
And I think it also shaped some of your worldviews as well, being there. Because it did. It challenged the way that the straightness of what you were thinking, and it made it like, oh, well, I'm more open now to X, Y, Z.
It's like, how binary is this decision? How black and white is it?
Yeah.
Might not be as black and white, or it might be black and white. I might need to switch my view because my view's not really holding up to these facts.
Yeah,
to these worldviews that I'm hearing right now. They make sense. They make too much sense, if you will.
Yeah.
And I think that's very important as you're growing. And I think I have a little hope for Gen A because I know they're still very early on in their life cycle, in their generation, that span of years. But I also think, like I said before, the systems that have been set up for them to socially interact are so antisocial, just from a physical standpoint, that I'm really concerned personally with where they're going to be at socially in like 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. I hope they go out of their way to fight for in-person things and also just being loving and being accepting and honestly just having an open ear. I don't know if that's going to be the thing. I lean unfortunately a little bit pessimistic on this just because of, like I've just said before, the systems in place, bless you, for their social interactions. There's not a lot of third places anymore for them to go ahead and like go to like a bar or go to like a club or go dance or something like that. I don't know. Stuff like that where I just think that doesn't really exist nearly as ubiquitously anymore. And I just want...
As it did in the past,
Yeah. Because it had to in the past because there wasn't a way to do it technologically. And now that there is to like have like, you know, you've got Snapchat, you have Instagram, TikTok, all the things. You can be in a group FaceTime and you feel like you're in person, but it's like, I don't know about you, but I know for me, if I'm in person, like being in person is so different than being on a Zoom call or being on a phone call or definitely texting. Like it's just a different feeling because
you can't mute yourself.
You're
not
yourself
in the comfort of your own home. No. You're having to put yourself out there.
Yeah.
It makes it harder to leave if you don't want to be there.
Yeah.
And it's like you gotta. I think that's the biggest.
You gotta smell good.
It comes down to this big thing. I think with Gen Alpha is that they are heavily comforted.
Oh yeah. Very
in
soft.
all aspects of life. They prioritize comfort, and
which everybody does for the record. But they have such
easiness.
They can design their lives with such ease, especially with AI now. Oh my gosh!
What scares
you know
me
how
the
much
most.
you know how much work it took to like cheat on things. I'm not going to specify what I did, but it's like you had to use Quizlet, you had to use Command F to find your answer. It's like so many things, and like I didn't, like for the record, didn't cheat. But if and when I did, there was a lot of work that went into it. there were skills that I honed that I use today for efficiency. But with AI, it just spits out the answer. And it's, by the way, it's so awesome. It's so great in so many ways. I'm not really blaming it as a tool.
But we appreciate it from an efficiency standpoint.
100%.
But it's also like how are we going to fine tune these humans, these brains? That need complexity.
Well, they need struggle.
Yes,
they need intellectual, neurological, if you will, struggle, so that they can become strong.
We haven't talked about this on your on this podcast yet, but Atlas brings this up all the time. The trees that kept falling over. talk about
it's my
it.
favorite, one of my favorite analogies for strength in general, I'd say, or just things that are worth it. There's this, I don't know where, I'm sure there can be some link that we could find. We could probably ask Chat.
I was going to say ChatGPT would probably tell
But
you.
if I gave it this analogy, they'd be like, it's this story. But
Yeah.
they did it, there was a greenhouse, a big old greenhouse at a university, I believe, that they were doing tests. They were trying to figure out certain things about plants and stuff, being like botanists, if you will, doing the thing. And they planted these trees in like in an isolated area of like man-made forest that was housed in a greenhouse, so that they could control the factors and the variables, so that they could test certain theories. I think it's all necessary.
It was all experimental.
All experimental.
Yeah.
It was all for a purpose. I don't know what that is, but that's how they set it up. And they found that at a certain point, when the trees got to a certain height and certain growth and at a certain point, they would all fall over, and they were a little confused as to why. And I don't know how they figured it out. I think they might have just did like a logical experiment, as they were doing in general. They were doing experiments, so they had to figure this out. They figured out this problem, and they figured out because there was no wind blowing on the trees. There was no way for them to build up resistance to anything that would cause resistance.
Well,
I call it weathering.
They weren't growing the roots deeper.
Yeah, the roots were as grown as they needed to be.
Yeah.
Until they didn't have the foundation to actually stand up as tall as they were designed to be.
Yeah.
And if you subscribe to a creationism mindset, which I do, and she does, God clearly designed certain things for certain areas for a reason. But because of that,
we're not supposed to be comfortable.
Correct.
100% of the time.
100%
is what we're trying to come down to.
Correct. Yeah. It's
where
like,
our environment's not supposed to be controlled. It's
Yes.
supposed to be out of our control. It's supposed to make us uncomfortable.
Yes.
If you're in an environment that feels comfortable and safe
Yes.
100% of the time,
Yeah.
then you are never going to grow.
Correct.
You are never going to build your roots. You're never going to branch out. You're never going to reach your full potential.
I see this heavily in my creation, my career in creating music and film, both heavily involved many years where I didn't know what I was doing. I was struggling heavily, and I wasn't where I wanted to be, but I had to struggle to specifically create what I wanted to create. And I'm still learning. I'm still struggling. That's the goal. And same, more generally known, is working out. Working out is such an interesting phenomenon for humans, because we've been able to create a society so that you don't have to move that much, depending on the job, obviously. But for a lot of jobs in this, especially in America's market of jobs, usually you're sitting down. Usually you're pretty sedentary. Usually don't have to do much. I know you can relate to that very heavily.
Yeah.
Her job is just a desk job, and nothing wrong with that. But with your body, if you do not put it through stress, if you do not let it go through constant stress every once in a while, call it working out, then it's going to get a little soft. Then it's going to get a little, it won't be ready for the world if you ever need to use your body in a meaningful, intensive way. I know for me personally, I work out almost like half the time just for drumming, because I know if I'm not, since I don't have a place to drum or practice anymore consistently, then I can't,
You'll lose it.
Well, exactly. I'm not moving my body in the way that I usually need to in order to be able to do the drumming that I like to do. So therefore, I either have to lose the muscle mass or lose the ability to do that, or I hone it in a way, or at the very least generally keep my body up to par through working out, which is what I do. And I think the immediate pain is what forces a lot of people, and this is why I'm scared for Janae, but a lot of people that don't know that the pain is the cost for greatness. If you don't allow yourself or allow your body to go through that, or career-wise you don't allow your mind to struggle through that, then you are a worse person off.
Yes.
I always think of the trust fund kid. It's like, if you're ever trying to think of like oh, like, how do you screw over somebody? How do you make sure that they don't become great? Satisfy every need and every desire that they have. That means they don't have to fight for anything. They don't have to sacrifice for anything. They don't have to go through any unnecessary stress, which means they become very selfish and they don't appreciate anything.
Yes.
Which is really tough, because when you don't go through stresses, then in my opinion, this world is out to get you.
Yes.
And it will eat you alive. That's what
I've also found, because technology is great for a lot of reasons, but again, is built for comfort, making things easier. That's the whole purpose of technology. And I think it is good in some scenarios. It's not good in others. One specific thing that I see millennial parents doing that is setting up their Gen Alpha kids for failure is, I don't want to deal with you right now. Here's a device. Yeah. And
not everybody does it, for the record, but a lot of people do.
So many people.
That's why
do
the iPad kid is so ubiquitous now.
Well, getting your kid an iPad at age 4, or a Leapfrog or whatever. Yeah. You know, like, it's like this. Let me give you this so I don't have to worry about you.
It's the modern day pacifier.
Yes, and it's so just it's so sad, because that's the other way around. Now the parent is not having to struggle as much. They've got comfort from this device, and they're not going to be able to grow and become a better parent and figure out what the root of the issue is, why their kid's not having a good time. Yeah. They don't teach them the ways of, being bored.
I call it
what to do when you're bored.
It's something I've told you about, the term self-soothing. Mm-hmm. It's less and less used. I think it's a skill that's not nearly as honed. It's getting less and less honed every day. Yeah. Honestly, for me too. It's like scrolling is a way to soothe. To self-soothe is to deal with your boredom, like you're saying. Deal with now I don't know what to do. Mm-hmm. And it's like, all right, cool. That's okay to not know what to do. Go find something that's worth doing. And I believe devices, and I hate to be like, it's the phone, guys, it's killing you. And it's like, but honestly, kind of if you are always in a place of escaping boredom, and you're able to escape boredom, you're never in a place where you are bored enough to change your life for the better and to potentially become great. I'm not saying you have to change the world in such an insane way, but I do believe that, and this is where my Christian mindset comes from, it's like God wants us to be bored, so it becomes very clear where we need to put our life, and specifically our time and effort and energy towards. Yes. If you don't have that boredom, then it can't focus you. That's my favorite piece of advice to anybody that doesn't know what to do with their life. I'm like, when they don't know what job they want to pursue or career, I'm like, go find a job that you know you're going to hate. Do that. Do that for a month or a year or 10 years. I promise you, at some point, you're going to know what you don't want to do, which helps you so much with figuring out what you do want to do. And that failure is so awesome, because it's not even failure. It's technically success wrapped in the bow that it looks like failure, but it actually propels you exactly to, in my opinion, where God wants you to be. But if you're always trying to escape, trying to leave the boredom mindset, try to escape the pain of what being a human without purpose is, then you will never find that. You will never find fulfillment, truth. You will never live a life that, in my opinion, worth talking about or worth living. And that's hard. And that's a hard thing to learn when you're given an iPad at 4 years old, up and then on to self-soothe. I remember when iPads started becoming a thing, because that happened in me and your generation. Yeah. I think I'm a couple years younger than Atlas. Yeah. And so we kind of feel that sometimes. For me, it was 8 to 10 years old. Yes. That's when it was starting to be like, oh, okay, it's happening. Well, I got one around 10 years old, maybe, and I was on the latter end. My parents withheld. Your parents were smart enough to be like, hey, let's not do this right away. Yeah. But I remember growing up, the drastic change from I'm bored, let me find something to do, let me go find a toy to play with, let me go outside, let me go ride my bike, let me go this, to I'm bored, let me play my Little Pony game for
6 hours straight.
Sure.
And try and level up all my ponies.
Yeah, right.
Help me, let me play Minecraft and build a world. Literally spend weeks with my siblings.
Yeah.
Only on this device looking at that. Let me watch 20 million YouTube videos over the span of the summertime. And it's like, it went from all me using my brain, being creative, coming up with things to do, seeking out fun, to let me just use this. And I hate that it wasn't something that was so apparent to me. It was just something that was normal because it was what was going on around us. Yeah. And I'm sure you have your own stories of that too. And it's kind of hard because Atlas's passions all kind of revolve around technology. Yeah. But it's so tough because me and Atlas keep talking about when we have kids, what do we want to do? How do we want to raise them so they're not this way? And it's so difficult to try and figure out what that will even look like because one, it's ever evolving. Yeah. Two, not everybody does or will do the way that we're trying to raise our kids. Yes. Which means that when our kids go to somebody else's house, they'll see how normal is for society. Yeah. And they may have resentment towards us for not allowing them to be normal.
Well, I'm not trying to be friends with my kids.
Yeah.
I would like to be friendly.
But what I'm saying is there can be opportunities for rebellion and just all these other things that it's it's so hard to figure out how exactly this is going to be navigated and how we, you know what I mean? Yeah. How we approach it. And so I don't think we will ever really know. I don't think any parent ever has found this is the solution. Yeah. For how to raise a kid properly.
Well, it's never been easy.
Well, and the hard thing is even after you do think you've figured it out, some other element of society gets added because, again, we are ever revolving or some financial problem comes up with your job or, there's just always, you're never going to know what you're doing if it's right or if it's wrong. And there's such, I think, stress and fear that comes with that. But that's why faith is so important because you got to trust that God will guide you if you lean on him in the right direction based on what your situation is. So
100%.
We're going to just try and have a lot of faith through it. Me and you obviously have a handful of years before we're thinking about having kids. Yeah. Though I have had some pretty bad baby fever.
She gets it. She got it pretty quickly once we got married. You're like, hey.
I've never had baby fever before, and honestly, most of the time I go out in public and I see a kid, I'm like, ugh, freaking kids.
Yeah, she'll notate every other time where she's like, I hate that sound. And I'm like, yeah. It's funny that you're saying that because 2 hours ago you were saying you wanted 2 kids.
But the other thing is I know it's going to be different when it's my kid.
Well, sure. There'll be a little bit more motivation and you can actually do something about it.
Yeah.
Which I think is the thing that really gets you, and I know it gets me, where I'm like, I just want to help the kid and be like, yeah.
Well, it's also me and Atlas have this thing where I think it's so good that me and you both have this motivator, but when we see people living lives that we don't like, we're like, you know what, we're going to do what we think is right and show you why it's right.
Right.
Why we believe it's right, by living it and showing you a living example of why it's different.
Yeah, that's what God calls us to do. That's what I found the most effective form of motivation. Anytime I've ever had an issue with any of my guy friends or any friends in general of their lives, and I've been in their lives and we're good friends, but maybe specific issues, and I represent what I believe is the antithesis and the antidote to what they're doing, which I believe is wrong. A lot of the time they'll either notate it, or some of the time they'll follow it, which is really cool. It's not our job to change people, but it is our job to guide our friends in the best way possible. Yeah. Assuming we have the same worldview. And I think it's very smart.
And it is our job to guide our children in the best way possible.
It's an even more intensive job, and more intensive, call it mentorship, because you're not just You're not just in their lives every once in a while. Like, you are technically gods to them for the first 10 to 20 years of their lives, because you're providing for everything. You're making sure they're not dying. You're teaching them everything that they know.
You're telling them what they can and can't do.
Yeah, and eventually, of course, they get a brain, and then they start to learn from other people and other scenarios
and from failing and hurting themselves.
Yeah,
and,
which is part of life. And I just want, I know for something I've told her many times, and I'll tell y'all, whoever's listening, I want our kids to be the most prolific, standout people out there. I want them to be warriors. I want them to just be so invaluable, people that other people look up to, like people, they're like, oh man,
independent.
Like the Scots, they got something different. And it's like, I want that to just be God, for the record. I just want that to be like just shown throughout all their actions, and have just basically virtually every value that was instilled into me from my parents. I want to just like push that even tenfold into my own kids, to be like, you got it. Like you can be unstoppable under God's supervision. Like you got it, man. Like, you got to like do the thing. And so, in a more complicated way than just that sentence, like I want that to be instilled pretty heavily. And I
was going to say another thing that we've talked about this many times before, but I have always hated a kid going up to their parents and pleading their case, and the parents saying no because I said so. Quit talking to me.
I'm gone with that.
This shutdown kind of thing. I know that is also the easier comfort for the adult, is not having to have this conversation.
I've got sympathy for them, because I'm sure at like age 8 or 10 or 12 or 13,
it's just annoying because it's always
just like, I can't do this, man. John, stop talking.
Yes.
I just had 12 hours of work today. I don't need to deal with this right now.
And I get it. It's hard. It's irritating.
Yeah.
But something I really actively, this is one of the first conversations we had, something I really actively want to do for my kids is never tell them because I said so.
Oh, yeah.
I want to always hear their case. I want to make them feel like they can communicate to me why me saying no is hurting their feelings or making them feel a certain way.
Yeah.
And why they believe that it's unjust. My decision that I'm making for them.
Yeah.
And I want to be able to explain myself 100% properly, and give them a reason why every time that they can't refute. And they go, oh, I understand.
Oh, yeah.
So that there's this respect there, because I think that's where respect gets broken with kids and adults. It's when they start to realize that you are dictating what they do.
Mm-hmm.
And that becomes, so when kids become rebellious.
I have found no person, no human being that likes to be told what to do.
Yeah,
and I think some people might say that, and you're like, that's not true. I'm like, I promise you, like, tell anybody to do what you want them to do.
Yeah.
They'll probably rebel on some level. You might not even see it, but there's part of them that's just like, that wants to rebel. That is human nature right there.
Yeah.
And what you're describing, and to just even full send it, if you can make sure, and this is just people in general, if you're directing people, if you're leading them, if you can make sure that they feel heard and seen, they're probably going to fight for you way harder than they ever would if you didn't ask.
Right.
And that's very important. And I believe that I can't imagine that not applying to parenting.
Yeah.
Because you're dealing with raw human nature that hasn't been formed yet into something that's worthy of being in society. So it's like you have full-fledged range of being like, hey, like, little Johnny boy, why are you crying?
Yeah.
So like once they have like the skill of language, once they can truly explain themselves, then you can like let them make the case of like, hey, where you're at, like what's going on with you, what's happening, and that to me is very helpful. I know as a child I would totally appreciate that, and I know there were moments in my childhood, especially in the teenage years, where I was able to make a case to my parents, and they're like, okay, or they'd be like, well, that doesn't make too much sense. Let's keep on talking.
Yes.
And I know you didn't have that nearly as much, but I think in those latter years, as my parents, probably since I was the youngest, had more experience, as you were the oldest, and your parents just didn't. I think they learned that it was
trying to figure it out.
Exactly. There's always grace there. And I think for me, I was able to benefit from the experience that my parents had with my other 2 older siblings, that they were able to apply to me, which I think they realized they either got tired or they realized they were like, we can't control the person in front of us right now.
Yeah.
So we're just going to ask, what do you want?
Yeah.
And thankfully, I think at least I'm very, very particular about everything. And so I could give them an answer, you know?
Yeah.
And if I couldn't, I would have told them, like, I don't know. What do you think? And I think that to me would be a very important factor, and hopefully will be an important factor in our parenting, so that whatever kids that we have can feel heard and seen, and then they become the best version of themselves, and so that they can apply that to other people too, so that they pay it forward instead of just trying to dictate. They try to be like, hey, friend 1,
yeah,
how do you feel about this?
Yeah.
Or romantic partner 2, it's like, what do you think? Like, it's like the communication. I just want that to be instilled, because I found that to be the make or break between a great relationship and a terrible relationship, whether that be through family, friends, or romance.
Yes. As we're talking about this, I remember there was this time back when I was in middle school, where I had a friend that my parents didn't know her or her parents. I just knew her from school.
Yeah.
And she invited me to a sleepover with some other friends from school.
Yeah.
And I remember my mom told me, absolutely not, you're not going. I don't know her or her parents.
Yeah.
And I got so upset because I was like, yeah, you don't know her or her parents.
You're like, you just made a case against your case.
I'm like, right, because I know her.
Yeah.
I love her.
Yeah.
She's a great person.
Yeah. Do you not trust my opinion?
Yeah, do you not trust my opinion of this person? Yeah. And I got really frustrated and upset with it. And eventually, I think my dad ended up convincing my mom to let me go. And I went, but I remember being at her house.
Yeah.
I did feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Her parents smoked.
Yeah.
And their like rules were a lot more wishy-washy than the rules at my house, or the friends' houses that my parents knew and let me go to.
Yeah.
And while I did love her, and it didn't change my view of her as a person, I did kind of understand. And it took me having to figure that out on my own.
Yeah.
And my mom actually explaining her heart to me, you know, when I ask why. And she actually gives me this explanation for me to be like, okay, I understand. Yeah. You have better judgment than me.
Yeah.
When it comes to friends. And like, had you known her parents, it probably would have been a different story. Or maybe it would have been the exact same thing.
Yeah, even more so.
You could have prepared me. Hey, you can go over there. If you feel uncomfortable, let me know and I'll come pick you up.
Yeah.
You know?
Some sugar.
You can go over there. I'm going to let you know her parents do smoke cigarettes, so it may smell a little weird.
Yeah.
You know, like that kind of thing. So anyway, I always want there to be opportunities like that for our kids, because that's like the most heavy one I remember. And then I remember a bunch of other times of me saying I wanted to do something and just getting a straight up no.
Yeah.
You know?
Which is unhelpful.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, you're saying no. Well, now I want to do it more.
Yeah.
Which is not
It's
helpful.
also like, I don't want to promote bargaining either.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah.
I think it's okay to promote being rewarded for good behavior.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about strict parent versus gentle parenting when it comes to specifically?
Well, here's the thing.
Corporal punishment.
I think, and this is why I believe we as parents will work pretty well. One of you has to not be a people pleaser. Like somebody's got to be not necessarily the bad guy, but there has to be a disregard for being liked to actually lead people well. I have found this to be very, very true.
Yeah.
With directing people on a movie set, to be the boss, people are going to talk about you. People are going to have opinions about you. People are going to probably have different views on how you should and shouldn't lead, and it'll probably differ from yours. Your goal is not necessarily to listen to them. It kind of is, it kind of isn't. it's interesting because, like I said before, innate human nature, one of the main points of it is that we don't like being told what to do. Think of Adam and Eve. We don't like being told what to do. We just don't. It's throughout the Bible. It's throughout history. Nobody likes to be told what to do. Nobody likes to not be listened to. I also know that there have been so many moments in my life, specifically being raised by good old Wayne and Laura Scott, where they, not necessarily forced, but call it enforced, certain actions or certain things or certain rules that I might not have been like privy to or liked at the time. But looking back on it, I know now like certain aspects of their parenting that as a kid I didn't like. Now I'm like, oh my gosh, thank the Lord you didn't listen to me. I didn't know what I was talking about. I didn't know what was good for me. And that's why kids are kids and adults are adults. That's why you can only marry after a certain age. There's a reason why you can't drink until you're 21. There's a reason why you can't smoke until you're 18 or 21. I forget what the age is now. But it's like...
It's 21.
I think it's 21 now.
Yeah.
But it's like certain things like that where it's like... In driving, for example, it's like there's a reason why you got to be 16 to drive.
Yeah.
Partly because you got to be physically big enough. But two, you have like mental development, skills, frontal lobe kind of figuring it out. Like it's not fully developed there, but it's more developed than it was at 13, as we probably can all agree. And I think gentle parenting can be very toxic because it starts to cater, from my perspective, looking into what gentle parenting can look like, starts to cater towards the kids' desires and wants and not to their needs specifically, because I believe children can be very good salespeople because they're like, well, I'm tired, or I really want sweets. That's going to solve all my problems. And if your goal as a parent, which is where I think gentle parenting comes from, just like with the iPad, where their mindset is like, I just want to soothe them and I just want them to be happy. Because I say their childhood wasn't good.
Like me.
Exactly. Like say they didn't like their parents and they really want their children to like them. They wanted to do the things that their parents didn't do for them.
Also, quick sidebar, I think that this is especially hard with kids that are children of divorce.
100%.
Because both parents are competing
they're fighting for it.
Being the favorite.
Oh, yeah.
And so they get to this place where neither parents are really enforcing any sort of actual rules, if you will.
I'd call it a shared mission.
Yeah.
a shared goal,
they
shared
don't
project.
have a shared goal. Both of them have the goal of, I want you to like me more than mom, or I want you to like me more than dad.
And there might be like other desires below that, but like unfortunately that starts to become at the forefront, I'm sure, because since now that you're not a unit, which is why it's called the family unit, you're supposed to be one, you're supposed to be a team.
Yeah.
And when you break that team apart, which is what divorce inherently is, then your views and what you want for your kids differs and divulges from or departs from your partner. That was your partner, now it's not because of divorce. And I'm sure the kids feel so stretched, and now they get to cater. Now they get to be catered towards instead of being parented, which is really tough, which I think that's a very smart thing to know. I think and divorce rates are up. People
and that may be part of the issue with Gen Alpha too.
I'm sure.
It's just how many families are struggling in that kind of sense.
Separation. The lack of family units. I know that to me is the down. Like every time I've ever studied society or history, anytime that like God is less worshipped, like there's not as much religion and there's not as many cohesive family units, that's when a downfall of society starts to happen. That's when things go bad, because you're talking about the literal foundation of from when a citizen is born to when they die. It's like those developmental years from 0 to 16 or 20 or 22, depending how you see it. Like if you start to instill heavy scars, especially familially, into people, because they are people. Children are people in the same way an 80-year-old is a person. It's like they just don't know as much. But when you are developing and those scars hit you that way and so quickly, you're not really set up for success at that point. And so you're kind of screwed, in my opinion, in a lot of ways, that if you did have a family unit that was cohesive, that you wouldn't have.
That you could go up to your mom and be like, hey, why do we do this?
Exactly.
And get an answer,
100%,
you know?
100%.
And it's like just the united front of it all too.
It's helpful.
Yes. And it leads your kids good too, because if you are in a healthy marriage, of course you want that for your kids.
Oh, yeah.
Of course you want them to be in a place where they feel seen and loved and heard,
yes,
and built up and broken down and respected,
yeah,
you know,
yeah,
and fought for.
Yeah.
And it's like the best way you can do that is leading by example. And they will, of course, come to you because they will want a life like yours.
Yes.
They will see you. They will see that you are happy, that you are content with where you are.
Yeah.
And they will want to be like that. That's just kids, like you said, you're their gods.
Yeah.
They look up to you. They want to do what you do.
They cannot.
If the only thing you do is eat healthy food and you explain to them the reason I do this is because, you know, it makes me feel better and it helps me, you know, do more things. It's better for my body, better fuel for my body, then the kid's going to want to do that.
Well, I think you don't even have to explain it. I think you can explain it to your kids, and I think sometimes
if they ask,
if they ask. But like I have found, to live by example is virtually the only way to actually teach.
Yeah.
Especially when you're in that kind of thing. Well, it's like I will go back to my experience with directing movies on sets. Like, if your attitude specifically is bad, then that cascades through the entire set.
Yeah.
But if you're good to go and you're like, hey, like I am set, I'm happy.
Let's do it.
Let's make it work. If you have a go-getter attitude, then you are like that also cascades down. It's kind of like what you give life is what you get from life, and it's like if you see it pessimistically, then it can be sad. If you see it optimistically, then it can be great. Like it's all a perspective thing. And if you can make sure that you manage the perspective and expectations of your kids, I believe, obviously I've not done it yet, but I believe if you can do that, if you communicate, if you listen, if you make sure that you live the life that you want them to live, the likelihood of them following you is very high. However, if you do try to tell them how to live and then you don't do that, the likelihood of them following what you said versus what you do is very low.
It was that sermon that we heard from Watermark last summer that was about parenting, saying that hypocritical parents cause rebellious children.
100%.
And
100%.
it's because, we're supposed to lead by example.
Yeah.
You know, and if you're a hypocrite, if you say, no, you can't have ice cream.
Yeah.
But in the fridge, you have mommy's ice cream that they can't touch.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, you literally are...
You're confusing me. Try again.
Yeah, you're just making me feel like you're just telling me what I can and can't do.
100%.
You know?
100%.
And it's like...
It's unfair to them.
Secrecy in parents causes secrecy in kids, too. It's like you got to do what you want them to do.
Yeah.
You got to be open and honest with them.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
You just got to be careful.
And so, it's tough.
And if you mess
really
up...
tough.
Come to them for forgiveness, you know?
Yeah.
I think to not treat your children as people, still developing, and obviously, depending on the age, need your help more than they need you to be human. But it's like, I feel like at a certain point, it's best to start to humanize yourself, as I know you've talked about, where it's like, I think there will be certain ages and specifically certain maturity ranges, if you will, for our children eventually, where we're like, then we can start to become a lot more real, a lot more humanized, a lot more raw, less godlike, and more friend-like, specifically mentor-like, I think, as you've described it. And I'm like, I love that, because it's like, at a certain point, I'm just I will be doing my best.
Yeah.
I want the best for you. I'm not trying to screw you up. I will screw you up in some way. I am sorry. And I'm doing everything I can to make sure you have the best life. And sometimes I'm going to fail at that. I'm probably going to fail at that every day, unfortunately, on some level, in some way. So, and I think there will be points, probably major points in our relationship with our kids eventually, where we'll probably sit them down and be like, hey, we're sorry.
There was a lot of that for me growing up.
Yeah.
From my dad specifically. My mom wasn't so good at doing this.
Sure.
But I remember these conversations I had with my dad so often, because he would do it anytime he felt like he made a call that probably wasn't the right call, or he wasn't positive about it, if directing me in a certain way was the right thing or not. He would literally sit down, look me in the eyes, and he'd go, Olivia, I'm really sorry.
Yeah.
This is the first time ever for me on March 20th, 2026, me, Zach Murtha, parenting Olivia Murtha at age 16.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that I've ever had to deal with this situation ever before. This is the first time anybody's had to deal with this situation ever before. And I can try and get guidance and seek counsel from other people that I respect and appreciate. But it's also like, I may be making the wrong choice. And I do not know. And if I'm making the wrong choice, I'm asking for your grace. I'm really sorry. You know? And it's like just leveling and being like, this is what I believe to be the right thing.
Yeah.
And I know you may disagree, and I am so sorry.
Yeah.
You know? And just that humanizing of, oh, you are just a person. You're just trying to figure stuff out like I am.
Yeah. And that's why I come back
That's
to
nice.
the mindset of, if the kids are like, well, I think you're wrong. I'm like, all right.
Yeah.
Let me know. What's going on?
Yeah.
And it's like, if you can make a case, all right.
Yeah.
I'd love to find a compromise here.
Yeah.
And if I believe you're inherently wrong, I'm like, I'm sorry. This is the experience that I have, and I know you don't agree right now, and that's okay. You can hate me. We're not doing this.
Yeah.
Sorry. We tried. I'm listening to you. It is what it is. I've taken note, but for certain things, you got to put the foot down.
Yeah. I unfortunately bring up this example a lot, but there was this one time when there was this one time when I was probably 15, 16, where all of our cats, which I think we only had one at the time, Bella was an outdoor cat. My mom didn't want any cats to be inside. My mom's explanation for why she didn't want this cat coming inside is because she believed the cat to have fleas.
Yeah. Sorry. It's just funny to look at.
We made like a makeshift shade
I don't
for
know if you can see that, but
You can't.
anyways.
But she believed the cat to have fleas, and that was the reason why she didn't want the cat to come inside. Well, this was back in 2021, I think, when it got really snowy in February. We were all frozen indoors for about a week.
Yeah.
And I remember it started to really blizzard outside, and it was really cold, and poor Bella was out on by the back door of our house, screaming, wanting to come inside.
Yeah.
And eventually I just went and opened the door, picked her up, and brought her in. My mindset was, I'm going to take you straight to the bathroom, give you a flea bath, let you stay in here, and I'll come up with another solution for you later, so you're not so...
Dying.
Yeah, dying.
Literally dying.
Yeah. But my mom heard me open the door, grab the cat, and she was like, Olivia, the cat's not allowed inside. And I almost, I started to say like, oh, I know, I was going to give her a flea bath, let her warm up, and then put her back out, or just keep her in my room, or whatever. And as I go to start talking, she's like, no, put the cat back outside right now. And I was like, but Mom, and she did not let me finish. She was like, no, I told you to put the cat outside. You put the cat outside right now. And to me, I was so aggravated and so frustrated by that, because it's like, you have a rule. There's a reason why this cat can't be in here. This is the explanation. I'm about to solve that explanation.
Yeah.
Come up with a compromise. I was willing to come up with a compromise. You didn't even allow me to plead my case.
Yeah.
And this is your cat too. And I know you don't care about this cat like I care about this cat.
Yeah.
But it's like, this is neglect to an animal. you know? And I felt like it was morally completely wrong.
Yeah.
And I was so upset, went to my room, shut the door, started crying because I'm like, my poor cat is outside in the cold.
Yeah.
Situations like that with
die?
our kids. Huh?
The cat die?
Oh, no. Marley snuck her in.
Of course.
When my mom wasn't paying attention, Marley snuck her into my room and she was like, "Don't tell Mom, I got her."
You're like,
yeah. And I gave her a bath.
Bless up, Marley. Let's go.
I gave her a flea bath. She didn't have fleas. She slept in my bed in the morning. I cracked open the window and let her out.
Yeah.
And
she's like, "Thank you."
Yeah. And the next day, my dad had heard that conversation. He went to our storage unit, got out a thermal lamp that we used to have for our chicks, and opened up the storage closet we had outside and set up a little blanket with a heat lamp next to it for Bella, which I would have so been down to just come up with that. You know, like the cat can't come inside, but let's find a way to make sure that she is warm outside. Yeah. You know? Yeah. And anyway, I always want to allow our children to explain why they're doing the things that they're doing. And if they have a good reason, say like that, you know, to help find a middle ground. I don't want it to ever be like, I am holier than thou. Yeah. No, my way or the highway, you know, and I don't want those cliche parent sayings to come into our kids' lives. I think they're kind of toxic, you know. My mom's not always been that way, for the record. There have been a lot of good times.
She's a
lot of good conversations.
She's a cool mom, and
she's my best friend.
She's great.
Yeah. But, yeah, there are just moments like that that were heavy learning lessons for me as a kid growing up that I'm like, yeah. I think you've had stuff like that with your parents too. Different things that the way that they handled the situation is not a way that you would have handled it. And that you're going to utilize that for our kids in the future too. Yeah. I think specifically, even if your kid says, leave me alone, to still checking, you know, because they are your kid, and it's never good to be fully isolated, you know. That's one of the things. What else? You got anything else that you've learned as a child?
No, you gotta give grace, learn, and apply it to the people you know.
Fortunately, I think that me and Atlas had some pretty good sets of parents growing up, so there's not a ton of like heavy learning and changes that we would make, but I think there's a lot. There's always a lot that we have to learn, you know. So open to it. We're gonna figure it out together.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, we're planning on waiting till we're in our 30s to have kids.
So we make Gen B.
What would that stand for?
Beta.
Oh.
I don't know. What's the next generation supposed to be?
I don't know. I have no clue.
So I want a list of generations. Give me.
But we're gonna wait a bit. So hopefully we have a lot of opportunities to learn and grow until then. At this point, it's at the very least 5 years away.
Yeah.
Because homeboy is 25.
25.
Can y'all believe that?
Crazy.
Anyway.
So yeah, so Gen X is, I think it's cool to like a little off. Like, probably should have started with this, but here we are. Gen X is from 1965 to 1980, and they're 46 to 61 years old. And for the record, generations technically range. They shift in their ranges depending on who you ask, but generally, I think I'm agreeing with this personally. But then we have millennials, it's Generation Y, 1981 to 1996, 30 to 45 years old. You have Gen Z, which is us, 1997 to 2012, which is 14 to 29 years old. So we're like basically smack dab in the middle of that. Well, not really. We're kind of on the right end of that. But nearing middle, if you will. Call it 3/4. Then we got Generation A, which is 2013 to 2024. So Gen A, all of Gen A has been born, which is kind of crazy, which is 2 to 13 years old. And then Generation Beta, which is Generation B.
So technically all the kids you were dogging on at Georgie Boys are actually lower tier Gen Z.
100%, yeah.
They're not Gen Alpha.
And for the record, generations transition. I call us zillennials, if you will. Like the difference between millennial and Gen Z is us. It's like those who like knew like what Victorious was and iCarly or Phineas and Ferb or Sweet Life of Zack and Cody. Those types of people that know that. Or, you know,
grew up watching Disney Channel.
Exactly. That had cable or satellite, depending on who you are. Didn't have streaming. Certain things like that, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what I think about when I think of us, specifically in our sect of Gen Z. But it's interesting to see it. And I use those terms pretty loosly because it's
what is the next one?
It's Gen B, Generation Beta.
Beta.
Yeah.
So you're right.
Yeah. That was a guess, but it kind of made sense.
Yeah.
But 2025.
We're gonna have our beta babies.
Yeah, that's from 25 to 39. Is in 2025 to 2039. So newborns and infants under 2 years old. So, yeah, they got a ways to go until they're done with that generation. So we'll probably make some.
We're probably making some.
All right, we're gonna make some Gen Bs. Anyways, thank you for listening to the Off Scot Free podcast. You're gonna make some babies.
Shut up.
I'm kidding. But no.
This was the baby episode.
See y'all.
See ya.
Peace.
Bye.